So when that first wave hit, when everything all of a sudden, I can't imagine it happened almost overnight, but I mean, over the course of a few days, months, or whatever it might be, when that wave hit, what was going through your mind?
Well, I woke up and looked at my phone on my Shopify app and saw the orders in there and saw how much money was in there. And then I opened my bank account and saw how much money was in there because you get
Wow.
the deposits. And the first thought was, I'm rich. And that lasted for like 2 days.
I like that you
Wow.
allowed that though. You allowed
Yeah.
you allowed yourself to be in the
Yeah,
financial
yeah.
bliss. I'm just going to be in the
Yeah.
prosperity for a second before I
Yeah.
realize the reality of what is going on, which is that I now
Yes.
have to fill these orders.
Yeah, so that was my first thought. And then the orders weren't stopping because back then with the algorithms of social media, the post was continuing to show through different algorithms. And so the orders weren't stopping. They were ongoing. And then it's panic hit in. So I was like, how am I going to do this? It's me and 2 people. How am I going to get supplies? How am I going to scale up? What am I going to do? My email was bursting with people saying, I just ordered. Where's my order? When's my order coming? 24 hours later, people were asking where their orders were. So
Yeah.
I was
want
going to turn off
cookies
my
now.
website.
I
Right?
click cookies now, not cookies
Yes.
later. Yeah.
Yes. So I was going to turn off my website. And one of my mentors said, don't you dare do that
No.
because
Yeah.
corporations would kill to have an opportunity like this, and you need to figure it out no matter what it takes. So yeah, I curled up and cried for a minute, and then I pulled up my big girl pants and figured it out. And I said, okay, first I need to mobilize a team together. I don't have time to train, so I need to find the best and the brightest. And colleges were out at the time because school was done. And I asked one of my college student friends, I said, I need you to gather all the valedictorians, salutatorians, D1, head of football teams, everybody who's high stress, high level, can work under pressure and smart. And I need you to gather all of them and see if they would like to come and work at Maya's Cookies for the next few weeks to help me figure this out. So I had a
So
little
smart.
army. I had an army of 19 to 22-year-olds that were, from Stanford, from, all the major
Wow.
universities all across the country that were home and, depressed because their sports are canceled or the school's done, their internships were lost. And not only that, they were willing to get behind the movement, the social unrest that was going on at the time. They wanted to be part of it.
Right.
So that was first step. So I did that in a day. So I didn't have time to vet. So that's why those standards.
Oh, you
I wanted
did. I
those high
mean,
standards.
the vetting is already in place if they've got to that level of
Right.
just
Yeah, I had
going
med
for the
early
students.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going for the bright ones that didn't
Yes.
require all the training, which I totally
Yes.
get. You didn't have
Yes.
time.
Yes. So I don't know if that was good or bad, but it was good for
That
me at
was
the time.
brilliant. What are you
the ne-
talking about?
yeah.
That was
The
a
ne-
great strategy. That's fantastic. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I don't know
Go
if
ahead.
that would go over so well in HR these days, but
Ah,
the next thing I had to do
they
was
get in
figure
the
out
way,
supplies.
HR.
Yeah. So my facility was 1,200 square feet. So I had to figure out, okay, I need semi-trucks worth of supplies of boxes, packaging, because 10,000 orders takes 10,000 boxes, takes 10,000, everything, right? So I called my landlord. And this was on, the beginning of the month, and he was ignoring my calls. And it turns out he was doing that because most people during that time frame were saying, I can't pay my rent because it was
Right.
COVID. And so he was ignoring my calls. So I finally went above his head and found someone in his organization. I'm like, I need, square footage. What do you guys, he's not returning my call. Give me a space now. So they had an empty 5,000 square foot space across the street from me. And I had to do a short-term lease to house all of the supplies. And it was more space than I needed, but it was all that was available. And, I spent a good chunk of money on that short-term lease to hold the supplies. So first we have the HR all paying all those workers. And then I had that temporary lease space. Then supply chains were disrupted, and a lot of vegan ingredients you can't just buy off the shelf at your local grocer, right? They
Yeah.
come from specialty makers. So I had to source all of our supplies, and supply chains were disrupted. So that held up some of our ordering process. And not only that, there were times where I had to go around I had to send all those staff to every grocery store in the San Diego region and buy all of their Earthbound's vegan butter. So if you're trying to
Wow.
buy Earthbound's vegan butter from June
Yeah.
1st through 4th, I apologize.
Your
We had
official
it all.
apology. Yeah. This
Yes. So
You
I
now know
somebody-
who the culprit was that
somebody
stole
out
all
there
the
is
butter
like-
off the
Yeah,
shelves.
they're right. They hit pause in the podcast. And you remember that day we
Yeah.
couldn't get the vegan butter?
Our vegan
Oh,
butter.
We were
It was
so
me.
mad.
It was me. So I spent a lot of money on supplies that were elevated costs that, had I had a system in place beforehand and had distributors and distribution, that may not have been the case. So I had to pay retail for some of those supplies to get those orders. Then our cookies are handmade. So I had to go to my equipment guy who I just bought equipment from at my new facility that I was in and say, do you have a machine or something that could help us spit out these cookies? Because I did the math and 10,000 orders times 12 cookies each time. And it was ongoing. I said, in order to fulfill these orders by hand, it's going to take us X amount of, weeks, months, years. This is never going to happen. So without having a lot of time to research, he sold me a cookie depositor. And so basically in a nutshell, a day later, I went on social media to thank everybody because our following was growing by the thousands. And I said, thank you all so much for all of your orders and your support. And I just wanted to let you know that I am working around the clock to fulfill these orders. And I broke down crying and I just said, it's going to take us some time to get this done. I promise you. But I know our website at the time said, once your order's placed, we'll ship it to you within 2 to 3 days. And I said, we had to take that down. And I said, unfortunately, it's going to take us some time to get these orders, but I promise to get them fulfilled. And
Were
so
people
what
understanding?
happened? Oh, man, I had never been on Instagram. It was always cookies.
Yeah.
So that was my first time in front of the camera. And the groundswell of support was just amazing. People were saying comments such as,
Amazing.
don't worry, take as long as you need for mine. Put my order at the end of the line,
Wow.
whatever you need to do.
Nice.
But we also got people that were saying, I'm going to cancel my order. So in order to avoid that, what the plan I came up with is that I said, if someone says that, then let's pluck their order out of the queue and move it to the front. So every day we had about 150 of the 500 orders we were trying to get out that were plucked out of the queue because we were on order, 20,400 and they were order, 30,400.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. That is
That's
such
so-
what a
Yeah.
massive change in your business and the way you do your business overnight. I mean, it's incredible that you were able to keep up with that demand and understandable that it would take time for you to work out all of these systems and all of these processes to figure it out. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, you could write a book just on this chapter of the cookies
Oh, yeah.
of the cookies journey and other people too, advice for other people too that hit this viral fame, because we have a lot of folks on this show who get TikTok famous overnight, or they have a major TikToker come in or, profile their restaurant or their bakery or whatever it is that they're doing. And then all of a sudden they're like, we had a line out the door, and it's like, we don't have the staff. We don't have, we don't have the operation to do this. This is so far out of the norm for us.
Well, I will say this. It takes a special kind of individual to be able to get through and handle that. And I'm not saying I'm special, but I have enough lived experience in my 57 years that prepared me for this moment, I think.
Yeah.
And basically, I had to work from June 4th to September 18th from 4 in the morning until 9 at night, every single day,
gosh.
no days off. I didn't see the sun. I didn't know what was going on in the news. If I could have put on a space diaper, I would have done that, because if I could save 15 minutes, I couldn't eat. And I basically had to tell my family, you guys are going to have to bring me food and force me to eat, because I can't stop this product. I can't stop any aspect of doing this in order to get these orders out. It's impossible. I was the only trained baker at the time. So not only baking the cookies, making the dough. That's the hardest part,
Yeah,
is
of
making, thousands of pounds of dough every single day. That takes hours. And then baking the product, cooling the product, washing all of the dishes and equipment that goes with that. And yes, I had a team, but I had to do a lot of that because it's, they were untrained. So it was extremely hard. There were many nights where I went home. I got home at my 9:30 p.m. And I just, I cried. I remember telling my husband, why did God do this to me? Why? Like,
Yeah.
am I in hell? Am I dead and this is hell? And he's like, no,
Yeah.
you're alive. You're perfectly fine. You can do this. And I just didn't see an end in sight. And not only that, I didn't know how to manage staff. I come from personal training. I always worked by myself. I didn't have staff management. I didn't know what problems were going to arise and how to handle them properly. And because of that, I made some costly mistakes that I thought were the right decisions, and they weren't. But I've learned from it, and now I feel like I'm at expert level at some of those
Wow.
things.
This
But
is
so
such a
it's
great
it's
story.
yeah, it sounds like it was physically taxing, emotionally taxing as well. I mean, I think about those hours and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, how did you do it? It's like, and then you're still trying to focus on building this business and talk about like when it rains, it pours, but like this was like
Mm-hmm.
pouring rain for weeks. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, how did you come out of this? And when you did come out of it,
The demand for group and private events is at an all-time high. Is your business ready to capitalize on all these opportunities? With Restaurant as your booking partner, you can ensure event success this year and beyond.
with no booking fees or commissions, Restaurant has helped over 2,000 restaurants, bars, and breweries reach local event planners who are looking for a space for their next gathering. Whether it's a birthday, anniversary, graduation, or corporate event, Restaurant will get your space booked.
Try it today and receive 3 months completely risk-free by signing up at restaurant.com/podcast. That's RESTAURENT.com/podcast.